Good afternoon, everybody. So it's been a bit, I've been dealing with a couple things and been off to West Virginia to visit my family and attend my family reunion. So it's been awesome. Today in my leadership class, I read about a topic known as in-group members and out-group members. And I was like, dealing with leadership and business management, organization, communities, all of that. I gave it some thought and I was thinking, and I contemplated on that for a little while. And I was thinking, as with anything, I think growth starts with self-awareness and reflection, so definitely, diving deep within and really understanding yourself takes many, many years. It is definitely the starting point of every good thing that will ever happen in your life, right? But let's get back to this topic, with the ins and the outs. So I think when it comes to groups, community, or people, it's important to think about how we all fit into the picture. I understand there's different types of leadership and things like that. I definitely consider myself a servant leader or a transformational leader. I like to support people, understand people, and just really build relationships with them. Um, you know, Most people, whether they're in any kind of relationship or partnership, they're going to want structure, right? And structure comes with security, direction, and stability, right? So being able to provide that, a lot of that is provided when people trust you and they know you and you have integrity and good character, and you're honest and all these really great things. Then when you enter into these relationships and different partnerships, you definitely want to have a clear vision and goals, right? So I tend to think of myself as a little bit more towards the idealistic side as compared to I do definitely have a lot of logic though too, because I'm definitely analytical. So I definitely think I'm one of the people that go from the left to the right and want to know everything in between. So, but definitely having a clear vision and goals. So, and with me, I guess that just is world peace, and that starts with inner peace and people working together, right? So that's my main goal in life. Along with that comes synergy, right? Synergy within groups, organizations, partnerships, relationships. You need synergy, right? So being able to engage with one another's strengths and knowing how to leverage those strengths, and as well as working with each other's weaknesses as well to provide that balance where we may lack, another one may help us to meet, right? So there's a topic today, another topic that I read. It's known as Member Ecchange Theory. I definitely love this theory because it focuses on the relationships. So whether it's, a partnership, a relationship, a group within an organization, a foundation, a community, state, whatever that may be. This type of theory does focus on the relationships and how that can be strengthened to leverage or else disengage a community or an organization or a partnership, right? I also love that it's transformational, so it definitely focuses on transformation. And through that transformation tends to lead to better productivity as well as job satisfaction. And that's just, that's within the organization, but also within relationships as well. I also like this theory because I feel like it focuses on equality and fairness, right? And I feel like that because, when you think about people understanding each other and going in it from a place of how am I going to support that person or organization, by noticing their strengths and utilizing a strengths perspective, how am I going to help uplift them this is coming from a leader, of course, and how can we figure out how they can work together, being able to surrender power to be able to want to learn from others and understanding them, I think is one of the most powerful things. And it also does lead to those, more healthy and awesome and amazing relationships and friendships and partnerships and all of that, right? So, whether we're a family, a community, a nation, or the world, right? I feel like by focusing on relationships, we can create a place where people feel seen, heard, valued, respected, and everybody has their spot to shine, but we're all learning from one another in the process. So let's take this all back to the in-out groups, right? Thought about this for a little while, and I'm thinking, when I was a teacher, those who know me know that I've been in different forms of teaching, whether it's juvenile treatment facility, lockup, correctional facilities, county school system. I've been teaching and mentoring in a lot of different positions and ways in the last decade or 15 years, right? I always felt like, finding a leader, a positive leader, is super important, because I always felt like, if you have just one kid that is known as popular or whatever, right, and they take and they befriend that one child or individual that's sitting alone or may feel like an out, that one person that's cool, pulling that person in, it's funny how everybody else sees that and they all gather to that. And so now that one person has completely changed the directory of that child's future, right? So it's an awesome concept, and I definitely think it's great to recognize and point out these awesome and positive leaders, especially within our school system and youth. So then I thought about, these in and out groups, right? So we had the in groups who feel very connected and like they're part of it, and, they tend to follow the pack. They're not troublemakers. They don't challenge the status quo, things like that. Of course, benefits and negatives to both, right? Then we have the out groups and the people who, don't feel accepted and they feel like outcast. Sometimes they want it that way. Other times they may not want it that way, right? They just may feel rejected from their peers or from people and different things like this. I definitely thought about this, in a lot of different ways. And I'm like, how does this play into growth and how others, view themselves and engage with the world around them? So I thought about myself, and I'm like, growing up, I definitely feel like I was an in group, right? I was very, I would say cocky. Might sound kind of cocky, but I'm not trying to be cocky. But I was popular, had a lot of friends, hung out with the jocks, the deadheads, the intellects, the computer geeks, the gamers. I was kind of friends with everybody, and I fit in pretty good, and cross those borders. So back then I was definitely more extroverted. Then I thought about, a time when I started on my own personal self-reflection journey about 13 years ago, and I'm thinking, when I moved back to a place where I didn't really know anybody, starting off college for the first time in my 30s, feeling very awkward and things like that, I definitely felt out on a lot. However, I definitely feel like feeling on the out allowed me to focus on myself and really engage in self-reflection, to be able to know myself and understand myself more, which I think is the key to everything in the whole world, to healing and growth. So here we have, growing up, from forever to 32 maybe, and I was very extroverted, outgoing, life at a party, singer, dancer, like always, like just, felt very in group, right? So then we flip it. And now I feel like I feel pretty balanced. Sometimes I feel a little awkward in situations, and not gonna lie, I think that's normal for everybody. But I definitely feel like most of the time, I can be both, really. I can be an in-group member or an out-group member. And I think why I say that, because I was contemplating it. And I realized that joining different groups, that labels you. And now you're kind of labeled to this one specific group, whether that be a religion, whether that be my motorcycle, ride motorcycle, so the motorcycle community, right? We have foundations, then we have MCs and things like that, so you narrow it down to that group. We have political affiliations, we have just whatever, there's a million and one of them, right? So then we further narrow us down to all of these groups and labels. And so I started thinking, like, I try to join all of them. So people say, I really try to learn about all the different religions. I want to know about them. I kind of feel like I take what works from each of them, and I have faith in God, and everything like that. So, and it's unshakable. When it comes to my motorcycle groups, like, I don't want to belong to one. I want to join them all. And same goes with political affiliations or anything like that. And I thought to myself, when I do join different people or groups or organizations that are different from myself, at first I feel like an out member, right? It's because I'm unaware of my surroundings, the group norms, all of this other stuff. However, I definitely feel like the groups that are much different than I would normally join provide me with the most enlightenment, the most growth, and the most balance internally and spiritually, intellectually, physically, and in my relationship world. And it helps you to understand them more, right? So in a sense, I come in being an out, but then I go to an in. But in the same regard, I'm not an in, I'm an all, right? So now we have all of this knowledge and experience with all of these different types of groups and people. That's why I try not to judge. For example, an outlaw MC, right? They may get a very, very, very bad reputation. However, my uncle was a outlaw MC. However, he was also a Freemason, an Army vet, a Navy veteran. And he was an amazing person, and so were some of the men that I've met there. I'm sure they have their bad people, just like anybody, and just like there's bad priests in the Catholic Church these days, right? So I think it's important to not label. And if you are going to label them all, join them all, do them all, right? Because then you can make a fair and the most unbiased decision. So that plays back to those of you who feel on the outs. Don't look at it as you're on the out. Look at it as you have the opportunity to bring balance. You're taking in new knowledge and something different that the group doesn't already have. So sometimes, that you may be the mover. You may be the shaker. You may be the one that rolls in there and challenges the status quo. However, in order to do so, you got to roll in there, with an open mind, respect, willingness to give things a try and listen and work together with other people, right? This can be really, really profound. So whether thinking of ourselves even on ins and outs, just roll with the punches, man, and know that everybody we can learn from, we can all grow together through relationships is really what matters. Not those labels, not what we know, not who we know, not how much money we have. It is our relationships. Together, I'm a firm believer, man, that together we can work together to really create world peace where everybody feels supported and loved. I know myself, I love going into meeting new people in different places, even though I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of shy and I get a little anxious at times, but I love to be around different things that are different from myself, because then I feel like instead of living my own boring, well, I'm 45 now, so maybe hopefully about 85-ish, I don't want to live one life. I want to live a million. I want to live through people's eyes and understand them. And, I found that doing that, being in the social work profession, definitely are around a lot of different people, life experience, I come from a poverty on both sides of my family, some of them have created very, very great lives for themselves, my parents included, but being able to know all sides and join them all and understand them all, I think is key to everything. And I think this leadership exchange theory is definitely the key to helping each other work together and make a difference through relationships, right? So now let's talk about how this all fits in with life. Again, key is knowing yourself, knowing your personality, your motivations, your conditionings, your shadows, how your past experience play into things, how your biology, physiology, neurology, everythingology fits into the whole picture, right? In doing this within, it helps you to understand and be more open to that in others, because you realize how complex you yourself are, then how could you not realize that everybody else is just as complex and may have, where we have 100 variables that factor into who we are, each of them variables have 100 variables that they can go by, right? So just respecting and understanding that within ourselves and accepting that within ourselves helps us to want to do that within others, right? As a leader, taking that time in organizations to get to know people, don't look at what, look at why, right? So trying to understand, all the things that you've looked at within your personality type, the big five, skills, talents, gifts, assessments. All these things are so important, because understanding your team and the people that you're leading or following or working alongside with or collaborating, definitely being able to understand their personality, their motivations, their strengths, as well as weaknesses, so we can help them grow them, right? As leaders, that's going to help us know how to keep them motivated, you know how to best support them in their growth, and knowledge and experiences. We can celebrate their strengths, and be their biggest cheerleaders and best coaches. And also help provide what they need, right, to help feel supported. From this supportive, servant, and transformational type leadership stance, we're not really the leaders, because we're more like the cheerleaders and coaches. That's what I look at it as. And in the sense, we bring out the best in others. And when others feel like they're at their best and they're valued, this is key to them feeling motivated, wanting to give back, whether that's a family, a group, an organization, or a state, a nation, So, taking as a leader, taking this time also to get to know your team and the people that you work with and those that you engage with. It really helps that understanding them helps you with emotional intelligence too, because you realize, number one, you become more emotionally aware of yourself, as well as you don't react on emotions, because you understand what all is behind them and yourself, right? So you're able to control and influence emotions. We all already know that people that act a little more logical, especially from a business sense, and not as emotional, is typically make better decisions and are less impulsive, right? So that also leads to new understanding for us as leaders, right? So now we're seeing life through another person's, whether our teammates, our partnership, our relationship, we're seeing things through their eyes. So then we don't get as frustrated understanding why things are happening, instead of just seeing what is happening, right? This helps us with clarity. It helps us understand how to put pieces together, whether it's a team, a project. We notice patterns, right? Because we're relational. Being able to understand people's motivations, we can provide that for them, right? So if they need encouragement, maybe it is, a trip, a massage, whatever that is, right? Maybe they're money motivated, so trying to provide some perks, or maybe they need some more self-care, so providing maybe a gym membership or an hour away from work to go to the gym, stuff like that, may be helpful. And then besides that, we have the opportunity to provide those resources, support, and to utilize their talents and gifts, while figuring out how all the people's and all the parts' specialized talents and gifts make such a beautiful and amazing masterpiece, right? This is how I think that we're going to truly create the heaven on earth, and I 100% believe it's possible. So, with that being said, I believe that God gives everybody seeds. He plants these seeds within ourselves, right? Sometimes people will, consume all this stuff in their body, just like a plant. It's going to die, and you're not going to, that seed's not going to grow into this beautiful, amazing blooming flower, right? I know it sounds like whatever, but he places these seeds within us, if we try to respect our body, eat healthy, not be around toxins, drugs, things like this, so our body's healthy and able to take on, the good stuff. I think that God plants these seeds. Everybody's got that gift or talent that is just the most beautiful and amazing thing, that once they find it and they utilize it and they share that with the world, that is what truly provides joy and peace, innocence, freedom, all the most amazing things in their lives, right? So I feel like us as leaders, we have to first, number one, we have to walk the walk, right? And then number two, be a cheerleader, be a coach, admire others' talents and gifts, celebrate and support them. And that way we can be that water. We can help them discover that seeds within themselves. We can be that water that's going to help them to bloom and just grow into this amazing and beautiful flower where they feel valued and appreciated and unique. So, as a leader, make sure you talk to your people, know your people, understand your people, ask them why, take them aside, go the extra mile without hovering, of course, or being a micromanager, because I don't think there's too many people that like that. But luckily, I always end up with the most amazing bosses. My boss at the hospital now and my boss for the VA, awesome. Very blessed in that sense, very supportive, amazing. They share knowledge, experience, support, whatever. So definitely being able to learn from others as well, because again, people only know what they're taught. That's another reason why we should never judge people, especially, people that come from, a little more difficult backgrounds, because they may have never had that support and that knowledge, or even anybody to show them. So here, when they're out in the world and they're struggling, they're met with resistance, or, their people turn away from them or not acknowledge them, or just disengage with them or whatnot. That is definitely not what they need. They need to be shown something different, right? So just think twice, be supportive, allow people to feel safe. When people feel safe, they're open, right? When they're open, then we have trust. And when we have trust, we have everything, because then we know that we're all in this together. So with that being said, everybody, try to be leaders. We're all leaders and we're all followers, and that's okay. And again, I'm going to preach it like I do in all my videos. Self-reflection, journal, analyze yourself. Don't just take yourself for who you are. Say, why am I this way? If I'm having these thoughts, is this something that happened in my past? Of course, I do believe in focusing in the future too, and, building new thoughts, because you don't want to get in that negative loop either, right? But definitely reflection is super important. Journal, start out with the bad and then with the good or whatever, but reflection and knowing yourself, I guarantee you, will help you know and understand and relate to others so much better. So that being said, bye everybody. God bless.